You live like you're invincible. You think you've got time. You think you can waste your life scrolling, sleeping, doubting, complaining, but one day, without warning, your clock hits 0. 9 days after you die, the real game begins, and most of you have no idea what's coming. Your soul doesn't just disappear. It doesn't clock out like a lazy worker. It moves, it feels, it faces everything you spent your life ignoring. There's a journey after death that you've already set into motion with every choice you make right now. You either stand strong or you fall to nothing. 9 days, that's all it takes to reveal who you really are when the body's gone and the truth shows up. If you're not ready, if you're not sharp, if you're not focused, you're already losing, even while you're breathing. You live every day convinced that nothing can touch you. You wake up, you brush your teeth, you scroll your phone, you check the same notifications you saw yesterday, and you sleep knowing you'll do it all again tomorrow. But here's the truth they don't tell you. Death is always on your tail. It lurks behind every laugh, every breath, every heartbeat, and it doesn't knock before it enters. You are fragile. One misstep, one moment of distraction, 1 second of bad luck, and it's over. The fragility of life isn't a poetic phrase to paste on your wall. It's the reality you refuse to acknowledge, even as time bleeds away with every tick of the clock. You think you have years. You think you have decades. You're wrong. Imagine the last time you felt truly alive, the rush of adrenaline when you achieved something you thought impossible, the heat in your chest when you looked someone in the eye and spoke your truth. That's life at its peak, but peak moments are fleeting. They crash into emptiness just as fast as they surge through your veins. You're riding a wave, celebrating the crest, but you never see the trough coming until you're swallowed by it. Life's wave breaks in a second. Death's undertow pulls you under in less time than it takes to register fear. Look at the people around you. Some will outlive you, some will die before you. You don't know who is who. That friend you laughed with last week might be gone by next month. That coworker you barely notice might not clock in tomorrow. You're all in the same boat, but most of you act like you're captains of a cruise ship invincible, ignoring storms on the horizon. You're not captains, you're paddlers in a leaky canoe. You're constantly one slip from tipping over. You buy health insurance, you floss, you go to the gym. You think you're preparing for death, but you're only preparing for living longer. You're training your body, but you're neglecting your mind and your spirit. You build a fortress around your health, but leave the gates wide open for catastrophe. Risky habits, toxic relationships, regrets piling up like unread messages. You pretend you're invincible until you're not. There's no transition, no slow walk to the afterlife. 1 minute, you're planning tomorrow's breakfast. The next, someone else is planning your funeral. Don't tell me you're careful. Don't tell me you're prudent. Your prudence is an illusion. You text while driving. You skip your annual checkup. You ignore that persistent pain in your side because you're too busy tweeting, posting, liking, swiping through the meaningless junk that passes for your life. Every notification is a cruel reminder that you're alive for a moment, then gone, and nobody cares until it's too late. You distract yourself with trivia while the real story, your story, writes itself without your input. We all cling to the idea of a long life. We draw lines on a calendar, circle retirement dates, daydream about a future that's never guaranteed. We plan vacations 10 years from now, count down to weddings, anniversaries, graduations, as if those milestones are rock, solid promises. But milestones aren't guarantees, they're hopes. Hope is a luxury you might not afford. You might not get the chance to sit on a beach at 50, to retire in comfort, to hold your grandchild. You might get hit by a drunk driver tomorrow. You might contract a disease with no cure. You might be born in one body and die in another. And when death comes for you, as it will, it won't say anything clever. It won't deliver a speech about the lessons you should have learned. It will just come. It will come in a heartbeat, literally. You'll feel your chest tighten, your vision narrow, and you'll wonder what you left unfinished. You'll wonder why you spent so much time chasing likes, chasing money, chasing empty victories when you could have chased meaning. You'll realize too late that your soul craves something deeper than the next viral post or the next dollar in your bank account. The best of you is never found in your comfort zone. Your best self is forged in the fire of adversity under the pressure of real danger. You find out who you are when everything you took for granted can be snatched away in an instant. And yet you still sleepwalk through your days as if nothing can touch you. You scroll through feeds of strangers telling you how to live. You watch other people's adventures on a screen, and you ignore the fact that you're missing your own. You're dying in slow motion while glued to a device that numbs your senses and dulls your will. Wake up. Feel your pulse in your throat. Feel the blood pumping in your temples. Feel your lungs expand and contract. That's life talking to you, reminding you it's here. You answer back by yawning, by checking your watch, by reaching for your phone. You treat this miracle, the miracle of existence, as background noise. Maybe you think that's smart. Maybe you think that's survival. It's not. That's surrender. That's handing your power over to chance. You have no idea when your last moment will come, but you can control how you live until then. You can choose to fight the inertia that drags you toward the grave. You can fill your days with actions that matter: hard work, genuine connection, facing your fears head on, building something that outlives you. You can stare death in the eye every morning when you wake up and decide to live like you believe you might die today, because you might. If you're waiting for the perfect time to start, you're already too late. There is no perfect time. There is no safe zone. There is only now. You can't bank on tomorrow. You can't rely on luck. You can't hope that nothing bad will happen. It will. Something bad always happens. You can't stop that. You can't predict that. You can only prepare by living with relentless urgency, with uncompromising honesty, with a refusal to settle for anything less than what sets your soul on fire. When people talk about death, they romanticize it. They turn it into a chapter in a book, a scene in a movie. They pay tribute at memorials. They write eulogies full of cliches. They wear black for a week, and then they go back to their routines as if death were a bad dream. But death is real. Death is final. Death doesn't give you a chance to rewrite your last line. Death doesn't give you an edit button. It scrolls past and you disappear. Those who remain might remember you, but your story is over. You think you have time to fix your mistakes. You think you can apologize next week, tell your truth next month, change your path next year. You're fooling yourself. Time isn't on your side. Time is a predator, feeding on your days, your hours, your seconds. You owe it to yourself. No, you owe it to your soul. To stop treating life like an endless buffet where you pick convenience over courage. You owe it to yourself to step into the arena, to risk failure, to welcome discomfort, to chase the things that terrify you. Because when death comes, and it will, it won't ask for your permission. It won't wait for you to tie up loose ends. It will show up unannounced and carry you off. And all the time you wasted believing you were immune, all the moments you spent ignoring the fragility of your existence, will become ghosts haunting the corridor of your memory. So don't wait for a sign. Don't wait for a crisis. Don't wait for the perfect storm. The storm is already here, swirling around your every breath. Every day you live is proof you've beaten it today. Every day you choose to live with purpose, every day you refuse to accept mediocrity, is a victory over the inevitable. But the war isn't won until you stop pretending you're invincible. You live your life as if it's a rehearsal, waiting for the big moment that never comes, while the real show starts the second your heart stops. Most people never stop to consider what unfolds after that final breath. They race through mornings and collapse into nights, consumed by the next meeting, the next like, the next drink, the next swipe, convinced that the story never ends. But here's the bitter truth. When the curtain falls, everything you've built, everything you've hoarded, everything you thought defined you, vanishes in an instant. 9 days after death, your soul stands alone in a void it never trained for. You'll find no tutorial, no warning label, no manual for the journey ahead. Just raw, unfiltered existence. And most of you aren't even packing. You've never faced the unknown because you've never prepared for it. You spend decades investing in retirement accounts. You subscribe to self-help channels that promise the perfect morning routine. You plan your vacation wardrobe, but you don't lift a finger to ready yourself for the biggest trip of all. You buy protein shakes and gym memberships to sculpt your body, but you never sculpt your spirit. You fill your mind with trivia and gossip, but you leave it parched for truth. You think acquiring another skill or topping up your savings will save you. It won't. When you're breathing through a tube in an ICU, it's too late to learn how to navigate the realm beyond flesh and bone. Culture tells you it's polite to avoid the subject. We gossip about who's getting married, we gossip about who's getting fired, but we hush when someone whispers cancer or sudden heart attack. You treat death like a 4-letter word. You dress in black for a week, you whisper prayers, you post a memorial photo, and then you flick the switch back to normal life. But the void doesn't blink off, it waits. 9 days after death, that void will demand your soul's first steps. Without preparation, you'll stagger through darkness, weighing every regret and every dodge you took in life like a stone around your neck. Imagine you die tonight. No dramatic crescendo, no blazing lights, just the slow dimming of your senses. You wake up in a place that feels like an echo chamber of your own mind. The floor isn't carpeted, it's made of memories, both the proud and the painful. You're unmoored, trying to remember who you are without a body to anchor you. You brush your spirit against scenes you tried to bury, the argument you never resolved, the apology you never offered, the truth you never spoke. If you haven't prepared your soul, you'll be juggling those ghosts without training, without context, without guidance. Most of you will be paralyzed by the questions storming your consciousness. Why did I waste 10 years chasing promotions I didn't care about? Why did I betray the people who loved me most? Why did I pretend that comfort was more important than courage? The weight of these questions will crush you because you never bothered to answer them when you had the chance. In life, you deferred accountability. I'll fix it next month. I'll do better when things settle down. I'll think about it when I'm older. But if you die before that next month, your soul will face a tribunal of one, you, and make no mistake, the soul's tribunal is merciless. It doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't accept I had bad luck, or I didn't know better. On day 9, you'll stand before a mirror that shows every choice in stark relief. All the compromises, the moments of cowardice, the smiles you faked, the ambitions you sacrificed, everything you ran from in life will be illuminated. If you haven't rehearsed honesty, you'll stumble through a corridor of self-confrontation so bright it sears your thoughts. You'll realize, too late, that preparation isn't about rituals or checklists. It's about living with integrity, about refusing to let your soul rot in a closet of denial. Consider how you prepare for challenges in this world. You study, you practice, you seek mentors, you build resilience. You have drills for earthquakes, fire alarms for smoke, seatbelts for crashes. But you have nothing for the moment your body expires. You let that sink in. You'd rather arm yourself for a car accident than prepare for eternity. You invest in helmets, airbags, first aid kits. But you ignore the one journey where no physical protection applies. The only shield you can build is a soul trained for clarity and courage, yet you never pick up the hammer. You think it's enough to believe in something vague. I believe in a higher power. I believe there's more to life than this. Vague belief is the currency of the unprepared. It's a flimsy token that shatters at the first test. What you need is conviction tempered by action. You need to wrestle with your fears. You need to examine your regrets. You need to forge a relationship with the divine or the unknown that doesn't dissolve under pressure. Faith isn't a deferral, it's engagement. It's showing up when everything in you wants to look away and asking the hard questions. Who am I? What have I done? What do I owe? You have time to prepare right now. You have today to confront the thoughts you shove aside, to apologize to those you hurt, to forgive those who hurt you, to carve meaning out of chaos. You have today to learn the language of the soul, to study what awaits beyond this life, so you don't stumble blindfolded into the void. You have today to build a map, to practice the rituals of humility and honesty, to anchor your spirit in something unshakable. You have today to become unbreakable, but most of you won't. Most will drift through your entire lives, convinced that preparation is somebody else's problem. You'll wake up 90 years old full of regrets, and you'll plan to prepare tomorrow. Except there is no tomorrow when the final moment arrives. You either train for that moment now, or you face it unarmed. 9 days after death, your soul will either soar because it was schooled in truth, or it will crash because it was ignorant. If you don't prepare, the soul's reckoning will be a storm that tears apart every half. Ruth, you built your life on. You'll experience confusion, panic, despair, and you'll have nobody to blame but yourself, because every second you spent hiding from the question, what happens after death, was a second you wasted fencing with shadows instead of facing reality. So ask yourself, are you preparing or are you postponing? If you're still flipping channels, still chasing status, still feeding your mind with emptiness, you're choosing to enter the afterlife naked. And when that moment comes, 9 days after your body gives up, you'll feel the full weight of your unpreparedness crushing your spirit. You think death is the end of your story, a blank page where everything stops, but you're wrong. The instant your heart surrenders, the real journey kicks off. Your soul doesn't pause, hesitate, or wait for an invitation. It moves, propelled by every choice, every regret, every moment you spent ignoring its cries. You've never signed up for this trip. You're unprepared, unaware, convinced that life's trivial distractions somehow shield you from the inevitable. But when that final breath escapes your lungs, the silence you feared is replaced by a vibration so intense you'll wonder why you ever wasted your days chasing excuses instead of facing reality. While you scroll through feeds, double, tap in approval, waste your evenings on empty chatter, your soul is sharpening itself for a journey you refuse to acknowledge. You ignore the whisper in your chest that asks, what if today is your last? You silence it with podcasts, with Netflix, with plans you'll never keep. But the soul remembers every promise you broke, every apology you postponed, every dream you buried under convenience. And the moment your body collapses, those buried truths rise like specters, demanding attention. Imagine crossing a threshold so sudden you don't even feel it. 1 second you're breathing, the next you're weightless. No more sound of traffic, no more glare of screens, just pure awareness. Your soul awakens in a space that mirrors your inner world. If you live distracted, it's chaos, a storm of forgotten dialogues and half-felt emotions. If you lived intentional, it's clarity, a corridor lit by moments of courage and genuine connection. Most of you will find neither sanctuary nor clarity, only a battlefield where your unexamined life comes back to challenge you. You've spent years building a life that looks impressive, social status, bank balances, trophies of fleeting achievement. Your soul doesn't care about any of it. It doesn't count likes or dollars. It weighs sincerity, measures honesty, judges authenticity. And the moment your pulse fades, every hollow victory you celebrated becomes dead weight draped across your spirit. You'll feel it dragging you down, reminding you that no amount of success in the material world can armor you against this reckoning. In that first instant, you're not surrounded by angels or demons. You're alone with yourself, more alive than you've ever been, because life's distractions are gone. No comfort zone, no safety net, just you. The walls of flesh that once shaped your identity vanish, and you confront the raw essence of your being. You'll hear your own thoughts echoing louder than any sermon, pushing you to face the questions you ran from in life. Who did I become? What did I leave behind? What did I refuse to confront? Most people will panic. They'll scramble, desperately searching for the body they lost, trying to squeeze back into the prison of skin and bone. They'll pound on invisible doors, scream into the void, boggin, give me another chance. But there are no do-overs. There's only the forward ride into a realm where time doesn't flow in straight lines. Minutes stretch like hours, days collapse into seconds, memories play like films you can't pause or rewind. You'll relive triumphs and failures with brutal intensity, and you'll see how every moment you wasted on trivial pursuits was a moment stripped from the journey you desperately need. Your soul's journey is governed by laws you never acknowledge. There's no bail-out, no sponsor to rescue you. The currency here is truth. You'll pay for every lie you told yourself, every self. Deception you embraced because it was easier than the hard work of honesty. And if you've never practiced radical honesty, both with yourself and with others, you're walking blind into a labyrinth designed to expose your deepest flaws. The darkness won't spare you. It will use your own secrets as torches to light the path of your reckoning. Some of you will encounter guides, spirits shaped by compassion, voices that echo wisdom you ignored on earth. But these guides are not your rescue team, they're mirrors. They show you what you refuse to see, the faces you hurt, the words you left unspoken, the gaps you opened in the hearts of those who trusted you. You'll traverse landscapes made of memory and emotion, each scene a lesson you didn't learn when you could have. And if you didn't prepare, if you never paused in life to ask yourself what matters, you'll wander these plains without direction, haunted by the questions you never dared to ask. Contrast that with someone who lived awake, who treated every relationship as sacred, who embraced vulnerability instead of hiding behind bravado. Their soul moves through this journey with a rhythm of peace. They recognize the beauty in hardship, the grace in accountability, the power in genuine connection. Their guide speaks not in threats but in revelations, inviting them deeper into understanding, urging them to heal wounds they carried into death. Their landscape is still trial by fire, but it's tempered by the light of self-awareness. You're not preparing for a lecture, you're preparing for the ultimate one with yourself, and no pep talk you watch on YouTube, no pill you pop, no conference you attend will train you for this. The gym builds muscle, the classroom fills your head with facts, a book gives you theory. None of it matters in the moments when your eyes open in a place where all your excuses evaporate in an instant. You need practice in living fully, practice in listening to your soul's whispers, practice in acting on its urgings, practice in facing fear and choosing integrity over comfort. While you think you're living for tomorrow, your soul is already carving its path for the day you die. And there's no pause button, no restart. The journey begins the moment your body stops, but you can start preparing right now. Every genuine conversation, every moment you choose courage over convenience, every hour you spend in self-reflection adds a milepost on that soul's road. They accumulate not as trophies, but as markers of resilience, beacons that guide you through the darkness you'll face 9 days after death. Most will ignore this advice. Most will cling to distractions as though they were lifelines. But if you dare to listen, if you dare to prepare, you'll step into that journey with a steady heartbeat, even though your heart has ceased to beat. You'll navigate the uncharted terrain of your own being with the confidence of someone who trained for this challenge. who knows that the real test isn't surviving death, but living in a way that death becomes merely a doorway. Your life is a stone you drop into a still pond, and every ripple you create carries outward into distances you can't even imagine. You brush off small choices as insignificant, skipping a workout, lying to yourself about rest, swiping past a friend's message. But those decisions start waves that travel beyond your sight. They bounce off memories, off relationships, off the very fabric of reality you touch with your presence. You think you're contained, fenced in by your schedule, by your worries, by your rent payment, but in truth you're a force of nature. Every move you make strains the surface of someone else's world and, more importantly, the contour of your soul. When you wake up in the morning, the seconds you waste on indecision, on fear, on hesitation, they echo too. They become the echoes you'll hear when your lungs no longer fill, when your eyes close forever. That extra hour you spend scrolling, that pause before you speak the truth, that moment you choose comfort over conviction, those moments aren't buried when the body expires. They swell in the invisible currents of eternity, magnified by the silence you leave behind. The time you think you lose, you gain in the echoes of your soul's journey. Every handshake, every promise made and broken, every tear you wipe away for someone else, every smile you faked to avoid conflict, they're not gone. They're stamped into the matrix of existence. You're shaping more than your day, you're shaping your destiny. Those ripples distort the calm waters of someone else's heart. They change the course of families. They alter the trajectory of strangers. It's arrogance to believe your actions are isolated, to assume that one night of indulgence, one whispered lie, one short cut won't spiral beyond your field of vision. Imagine the day you die. Your heartbeat fades, your chest empties, and the world goes on without you. Or so you think. But in the undercurrent of reality, your ripples keep moving. They carry the weight of every choice you made in the final minutes of consciousness, and those shapes will cast shadows across the eternal landscape. That longs, oppressed apology you never delivered, that compassion you withheld, that insult you threw like a grenade, those moments become landmarks on the terrain your soul must travel. They're signposts pointing back to where you failed yourself, pointing forward to the reckoning that awaits. You wake up each morning with the power to sculpt those ripples. You can speak words that echo love, strength, clarity. You can strike chords that resonate long after you're gone, or you can whisper into the void and hope nobody hears. A gamble with stakes you can't comprehend. Don't underestimate the permanence of what feels fleeting. A kind act today isn't buried under the next headline. It's archived in time, ready to be summoned by the soul's memory when flesh is dust. You're investing in an account that compounds interest in ways you can't measure, but you'll feel in the silence of your eternal rest. There's a weight to this truth that can crush you if you don't face it. You'll realize in that space beyond breath that every excuse you made, every moment you traded for trivial thrills, every instance you refused to stand tall has become a burden. Those burdens accumulate like boulders, threatening to sink you beneath the surface when your soul floats free. You'll search for buoyancy in memories of love, of courage, of integrity, if you created them. If you didn't, you'll drown under regrets more potent than any earthly chains. But here's the opportunity. You can choose to be deliberate. You can plant seeds that flower long after you've fallen, a sincere thank you, a promise kept, a debt repaid, a moment of presence when someone needed you. Those are the echoes that lift you, that propel you upward when all else fades. You build a chain of resonance that reverberates through the fabric of eternity. This is not abstract philosophy. This is the physics of the soul. You set the frequency today, and the universe tunes itself to your signal. Every conversation you have, every glance you share, every hand you hold is a note in the symphony you conduct. You can play a song of courage and hope, or you can strike dissonant chords that linger as tension. You choose harmony or chaos, and the final audience isn't on earth. It's in the silent chambers where your essence lingers, where the echoes return to you amplified. Make your music well, make it bold. Make it true. Someday, when the lights go out, you'll hear your composition in its purest form. You think success is measured by profit margins, by followers, by trophies you place on dusty shelves. That's the world's shallow echo. The soul's echo is measured in resonance. It's measured by how you made people feel when no one was watching. It's measured by the courage you showed when you were alone. It's measured by the integrity you maintained when lies were an easier path. That's the score that follows you past the grave, the melody you'll hum when all other tunes fall silent. Failures, too, become echoes. A mistake you refuse to correct will shadow your steps beyond daylight. A fear you allowed to paralyze your action will grow in the darkness, breeding self. Doubt that echoes through eternity. You might think you erase mistakes by moving on, but the soul archives them. It replays them like a broken record until you face them, reconcile them, learn from them. The longer you delay, the louder the echo grows, until it drowns out every other sound. And what of courage? Courage is the amplifier of purpose. When you stand firm in a moment of crisis, when you choose truth over convenience, you ignite a beacon that cuts through the void. That beacon doesn't flicker out when you do. It becomes a lighthouse for your soul, a guide through the fog of the afterlife. You'll follow that light to a place of peace, of understanding, of release, if you earn it. Every courageous act polishes that beacon until it shines through darkness with unbearable brightness. Regret is the dull thud of missed opportunities. It's the echo that pounds against your skull in the empty hallways of eternity. Regret doesn't vanish, it transforms into a lesson you learn too late. If you never acted when you should have, you'll replay those moments until the echoes shape your consciousness. That's how the soul educates itself, through the vibrations you create when you fail to act. Let regret be rare. Let it be the signal that wakes you, not the soundtrack that haunts you. Every moment you live with purpose, every second you choose meaning over convenience. You forge links that bind past, present, and future. You become timeless. You break free from the petty cycles of distraction. You step into a flow where your deeds resonate with the force of a comet, leaving trails that burn bright across the cosmos. You'll feel that heat in the afterlife, the momentum of your own making. And you'll know you lived with full throttle until the engine stopped. This is your opportunity to live like every breath echoes forever, to act now with the knowledge that you're building vibrations that will swell in the silence beyond flesh, to speak words that carve canyons in the bedrock of reality, that channel into rivers feeding every soul you encountered, to own your power, to own your responsibility, to own your legacy in the purest sense. Every moment you treat as ordinary is a wasted opportunity to shape eternity. There is no small act. There is no minor choice. There is only the echo you choose to send out, reverberating through the halls of time. And when you cross that threshold, you will find yourself not in a void, but in a living echo chamber of your own making, where the resonance of your life greets you like a tide you summoned. Let that tide lift you. Let it carry you forward. Let it be the everlasting song you set into motion. Wake up right now, because the clock is already ticking louder than you realize. You think 9 days is nothing, just over a week, barely enough time to binge, watch a new series, or to let a wound scar over. But those 9 days after your last breath, they're everything. They're the only window you get to face the truth of who you were, of what you built, of the legacy you left when your eyes closed for the final time. Imagine standing at the edge of a cliff, wind whipping through your mind, and realizing the ground beneath you has already crumbled. That's the shock your soul will feel on day one after death. It isn't gradual. It isn't delayed. It's immediate, and those first 9 days set the tone for forever. You scroll through social feeds, you drown yourself in the noise of notifications, you chase the drip of dopamine like it's the cure for meaning. But 9 days after you die, there are no phones, no screens, no distractions. There's just you naked, stripped of status, stripped of excuses, stripped of everything you thought defined you. You'll be handed a mirror reflecting every choice you dodged, every truth you bent, every moment you let slip by. Those 9 days are a spotlight so bright it burns through pretense. If you've been sleeping through your life, if you've been hitting snooze on responsibility and growth, you'll wake up in those 9 days to a landscape of regret you can't outrun. Those 9 days aren't some mystical interlude where angels sing hymns and you get a warm, fuzzy welcome. They're a pressure cooker, a crucible where your soul's steel is tested. Every compromise you made for comfort, every concession you accepted to stay in your safe zone, they flash before you with the clarity of a high-definition screen. It's like watching your favorite movie cut with every scene you hated in slow motion, with no remote to fast forward. You'll be forced to feel the weight of every moment you chose convenience over conviction, silence over speaking your truth, fear over courage. And if you haven't trained yourself to stand tall under pressure, you'll buckle. You think you can fix it later. You think retirement, old age, the mythical cushion of time will soften the blow. But time isn't your ally. It's your executioner when you waste it. 9 days after death, there's no planning ahead, no rescheduling, no I'll get to it when I'm ready. The account you've been building with every honest word, every brave action, every act of kindness, that's the only balance you carry into those 9 days. All the skipped workouts, the missed chances to say I love you, the opportunities you ignored because they were messy or uncomfortable, they're overdrafts. And when your soul shows that red number on day 9, it isn't someone else's problem to bail you out. You live like you've got a safety net. You convince yourself that tomorrow will wash away today's mistakes. But 9 days after death, there's no safety net. There's just gravity. There's just the pull of every regret you shoved into a drawer labeled later. You'll feel those regrets like weights tied to your ankles, dragging you deeper into a darkness that only your courage could have fought. If you spent your life building fences around your heart, that darkness will batter them down and show you what you've been hiding from. Your own potential, your own strength, your own purpose left unexplored. This isn't a passive threat, it's a guarantee. Everyone you know, everyone you love will face those 9 days, and they'll be defined by how awake they were in life. You want a preview of that reckoning. Look inside yourself right now. What have you delayed? What have you sanitized with excuses? What have you sacrificed for the illusion of safety? That list is your map of the 9 days ahead. If you don't cross off those regrets, if you don't own your failures and forge them into lessons, you're walking into those days blindfolded, feeling every twist and turn without context, without mercy, without any way to steer. Make no mistake, 9 days can change everything. They'll decide whether your soul is buoyant or drowning. They'll determine if the voices you hear are whispers of peace or screams of remorse. They'll show you the truth of your life's architecture. Whether you built a fortress of integrity or a house of cards, you'll see the faces of friends you abandoned, the hurt of promises you broke, the emptiness of victories you chased for show. Those days strip away your defenses and leave you vulnerable to the full force of your own story, unfiltered and uncensored. So I'm telling you now, wake up before it's too late. Feel the pulse in your veins. Feel the tension in your chest. Feel the fire you used to have before the world taught you to tone it down, to play it safe, to settle for mediocrity. Ignite that fire again. Start burning the to-do list of your soul. Apologize to the people you wronged. Reclaim the dreams you shelved. Face the mirror and speak your truth out loud. Scrape off the rust of complacency until your edges are sharp. Every moment you waste, you're digging a pit for yourself. Every second you hesitate, you're narrowing the path your soul will walk in those 9 days. Do not let those 9 days come and find you unprepared. Do not let your final chapter be written by the regrets you leave on the table. Live with the urgency of someone who knows exactly how little time they have. Because 9 days after death, time stretches into an eternity you can't escape. If you wake up now, if you recalibrate, if you sweat for something real, if you draw a line in the sand between the person you are and the person you refuse to remain, then when your breath stops, you'll step into those 9 days armed with every ounce of truth, every shard of courage, every spark of love you carried into your last heartbeat. Let that be more than just survival. Let it be victory.